right, good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning, wherever you are around the world. It is Friday, November 21st. This is Movie Reviews and More. Brian Sebastian. Our guest today is Chef Paul from the Capitol Grille. But before we go there, because you got some great food, I got to have some of this stuff. But we have to go to Debbie Lynn Elias from Movie Shark de Bloor and Elias Entertainment Network.
Yes. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening to all the ships at sea. You know, this was a big week in the entertainment industry. A very sad week. We lost Mike Nichols this week.
Yep.
Mike had one of the most impressive careers in entertainment. He's one of only 12 people to have bear the title of an EGOT. He's had an Emmy, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys. I'm sure everybody out there has seen some of his, best works. He started doing comedy in what eventually became Second City TV. His television miniseries Angels in America was lauded the world over. And he started his movie career. His very first film directing was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and directed Elizabeth Taylor.
And Richard Burton.
But directed Liz Taylor to Oscar. Then then he jumped into The Graduate. He put Dustin Hoffman on the map and has created indelible images. His final film that he did was Charlie Wilson's War with Tom Hanks. And for Tonys, he won Tony Awards for Barefoot in the Park, Plaza Suite, Death of a Salesman. He produced the original 1977 musical Annie on Broadway. And he also directed the musical Spamalot.
I wasn't a fan of that, but I loved his filmology, though.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely amazing. Earlier this year, his son, Max, directed his first feature film. Max has had a really wonderful career in music and music videos, and he segued into film. I did an exclusive interview with Max not too long ago and asked him about his father, and started off talking about, was it predestined that he would follow in his father's footsteps, or was this something that just came about? And here's what he had to tell me.
I don't know. I certainly, there was a long time when I wouldn't have thought so. My early career work was in music, and not even necessarily in music videos. And then the music world led me to music video, and music video ultimately led me to feature directing. And so I suppose there's one way of looking at that suggests that, like, oh man, even this circuitous path led me here, that there must be an element of destiny to it. But I don't know. It certainly did not seem preordained to me, 15 or 20 years ago, but I couldn't be more thrilled to wind up where I am.
So what's the best piece of advice your dad has given you about the business, or that you learned by watching him over the years?
I think that one of the things that I admire the most about my dad is that in all the incredible work he's done, he has managed to, and all the success that he's had, he's managed to remain completely focused on the work, on the story, on the character, on the theme, on the pacing, and that it's such an easy business to get caught up in either the business side of it or the fancy pants side of it, and that he's just, provided such a fantastic example to me of how you can have a decades-long career and never lose sight of what's really at the essence of the work. I hope, I can one day say even a tiny version of the same thing.
Well, and as I told Max, he definitely is on the path, and he is his father's son. And my heart just goes out to Max, to his mom, Diane Sawyer, who is part of, by extension, my extended ABC family. So, I mean, this is a great loss for us, but he left us a lot of indelible images, memorable movies, memorable shows, and Mike Nichols will not be forgotten.
Director Mike Nichols, who is 83 years old, wonderful man.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure to speak with him on several occasions over the years. So it's, this was a hard loss. This was a hard loss this week.
As we get older, it seems like it happens more and more, which is kind of sad. And you never know what's going to happen with people, which is why it's an honor to even interview them throughout the years.
Sure. But on to more cheery things this week. Ongoing legacies. We've got, Mockingjays, penguins, and extraterrestrials this week. Let me start off with Mockingjay, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. This is an interesting third installment in the Hunger Games franchise. We pick up where we left off, where Katniss destroyed the Quarter Quell and was rescued and saved and transported to what we now find out is District 13, a 40-story underground bunker that was built after District 13 was destroyed by the Capitol decades ago. This is, I think, the darkest of what we've seen in the Hunger Games franchise as yet. For me, it's also one of the most disappointing of the 3 films to date. Directed again by Francis Lawrence, who directed Catching Fire and also directs Mockingjay Part 2 as it was shot concurrently with Part 1.
Yeah.
Francis did an excellent job with the horrors that we're looking at now. It's a very dark film where everybody is basically regrouping. Much of it, 80% of the film is shot within this 40-story underground bunker. Joe Willems is a cinematographer and does a beautiful job of adding some texture to concrete walls and really capturing some great visual effect through what I call a Litvak style of imaging that I first took note of back in the 1930s with the film The Snake Pit with Olivia de Havilland. Overhead shot down a spiraling staircase or a pentagon or, plummeting staircase, and the camera catches everything as it's wrapping around going down. It's a very strong visual image, and it carries a lot of metaphor within this script. This script, we've got newcomers as the screenwriters. We've got Danny Strong. Danny Strong, most people will remember him as the quirky and hilarious Jonathan on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But he then went on to write Lee Daniels' The Butler last year.
Which was an excellent film.
An excellent film. He also wrote Game Change, which starred Julianne Moore as Sarah Palin and also had Woody Harrelson in it. So for Danny, here he is writing for Woody Harrelson in Mockingjay, because Woody returns as Haymitch. And Julianne Moore now joins the Hunger Games franchise as President Alma Coin, who is heading up the rebellion and trying to convince Katniss to become the Mockingjay, the symbol of the rebellion. So there's a lot of that going on in this film, a lot of setups for what's yet to come. But I think Mockingjay, it suffers from what I call the Harry Potter syndrome of breaking up the final book for monetary reasons.
I hate when they do that, and that's probably why I didn't like this movie. I was bored the entire time.
I wasn't bored with it. I was disappointed with it. It's also a very difficult movie to see because here you have a dystopian young adult novel that's supposed to be set into the future. We're starting off, we are seeing District 12 in ruins because after what Katniss did at the Quarter Quell, President Snow has gone and bombed her home of District 12. As we learn as the film goes on, 9,000 residents in District 12, only 95 got out and survived. Luckily, her mother and her sister and her stalwart friend Gail, who, as we keep seeing, she should have picked him over Peeta, but we won't go there. But the imagery that is captured, the film very quickly sets a tone. We see rubble as you're walking over rubble. You then see burned out, panic-stricken, frozen bodies that have been firebombed, and they're frozen. It's like looking at the images and the skeletal remains from Pompeii when Mount Etna exploded. We see, very shockingly, execution-style killings that look just like they were lifted out of news footage today of some of the ISIL tactics. So we're very much in the now with this film. This is not in the future. This is the future at our front door. So it puts an entirely different emotional palette and tone on the film as a whole.
See, the way you described it, that's much more interesting than what I saw.
Yes, well, that's why I'm sitting here. But in terms of performances, Donald Sutherland is just delicious. He is evilly delicious and slick. And while he doesn't have much dialogue, what Donald Sutherland does with his voice, with his vocal cadence, with his elocution, it's not what he says or what he doesn't say, but how he says it and those pauses that he inflects. It chills you as you see where President Snow has developed and where he's going. Standout, Woody Harrelson and Elizabeth Banks. 2 reasons to see this film. Woody as Haymitch and Elizabeth Banks as Effie they are the heart of this film. They are the humanity and they are the heart, and they remind us of what the Hunger Games is all about and who Katniss Everdeen is, because watching Jennifer Lawrence in this chapter of the franchise, granted, Katniss is traumatized, she's suffering from PTSD, but the histrionics that go on as she cries for Peeta, oh, is Peeta dead or alive? Oh, Peeta, you're drugged.
In other words, she was whining.
It gets really old. You don't expect to see that from Katniss. It doesn't play well, it doesn't sit well. But then you've got Harrelson and Banks that just reel it back around. Elizabeth Banks is superb this go-round as Effie, without all the trappings of wigs and nails and fashion. She adds lightness and some humor to the film, very self-deprecating. She'll make jokes about not having her wigs and how difficult it is to be fashionable when you're a political refugee. So you get a little bit of perspective. You see some of the elements that made us fall in love with some of these characters to begin with. Liam Hemsworth also, his role gets expanded. He really gets to step up his game and really not be behind Katniss, but be leading Katniss. So that's a nice character development. I just hope that everything that we're seeing here that is leading up to Part 2, I really hope that Mockingjay Part 2 does catch the fire that we've seen before in Katniss and in the franchise, and that it really explodes next year. I mean, it's a valuable film to see as part of the franchise. You do get to see more character development. You find out what happens with some of the characters that were in limbo at the end of the Quarter Quell in Catching Fire. But there's something that's just still missing, and the future is now here today.
Chef Paul, you have kids. Are they interested in running out and seeing the Hunger Games today?
Oh, they are. And I was going to mention, the first 2 installments I thought were really good. I mean, and some of my daughters are in Girl Scouts, and they actually go to that. So that's a little bit concerning that you're talking about the amount of violence that's in that beginning.
Yeah, the execution scenes. I find that very off-putting, especially for a young adult audience.
Right. Exactly.
Granted, it's as if lifted right out of the news today. Some of those scenes you could have gone. They could have saved on production dollars and just gone to Afghanistan or Iraq and just pulled stuff right out of there. It's that real and it's that horrific, and it's a turn I didn't expect to see the film visually take.
Right.
Now, a film that I know your daughters will undoubtedly love opens the day before Thanksgiving. It opens next Wednesday. The Penguins of Madagascar, and it is delicious. It is absolutely fantastic.
And I will not be running to go see that.
Oh my God, we have all of our favorite penguins come back. We've got Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Private. Now they're teaming up with a super secret agency called North Wind as they try and stop the evil Dr. Octavius Brine from capturing and destroying all the penguins the world over. Because as we quickly learn, Dr. Brine is the purple octopus Dave that we have seen in the Penguin of Madagascar movies before. And voiced by John Malkovich, who is just hilarious. And the animation, DreamWorks Animation, has done a great job because you see John Malkovich in Dave the Octopus. It's great.
Well, the penguins are the funniest part of the Madagascar movies.
Oh,
for sure, hands down.
Yes, and to now have them here on their own, and so many film lovers should see. Number one, the dialogue is great. It's so tongue-in-cheek. It's rapid fire. It keeps going. Tons of play on words. And Malkovich does most of it. It's just absolutely hilarious. But the film opens talking about a documentarian who is down in the Antarctic doing a penguin documentary. And who is our documentarian? Werner Herzog. And yes, it's Werner actually voicing Werner Herzog in Penguins of Madagascar. So it truly is. It is a dibbalicious film. It is jam-packed action, adventure. It keeps going. It doesn't stop. You are never bored. The animation is wonderful. And I have to say, as much as I love Disney and Big Hero 6 right now, I would rush out to see Penguins only because where there is so much heart and so much character development with Big Hero 6, because it is an origin story. Penguins, we know who they are. As you said, Chef Paul, they're the best part of the Madagascar movies. Yeah. They are hilarious. So we can jump right in, and you just embrace the fun. You think of Penguins, you think of fun to begin with. And that's exactly what this movie is. And it's all about the Penguins as a family joining up with the North Wind super secret agencies, which, by the way, Benedict Cumberbatch on an absolute roll. He voices Classified, the husky that heads the North Wind. And then you've got Peter Stormare, who voices this lovable, kind of strange polar bear. But if I had to pick which one I would want to see over and over again, I would go with Penguins of Madagascar over Big Hero 6. As much as
you liked it that much?
Oh, it is that entertaining. It is that fun. You walk away. Big Hero 6, you want to see what happens with the storyline, with these characters, where Hero and Baymax go. With Penguins of Madagascar, you know, it's just fun and hilarity no matter what the penguins do.
True.
So it is for the whole family. It's about family. And it is hilarious. Non-stop laughter from beginning to end. Opens on Wednesday nationwide. It is an absolute must-see for Thanksgiving weekend next week.
Cool.
Okay.
So, but
I am going to go see it. I wouldn't go rush out because I don't have kids, but you have kids.
Yes, we will definitely make a point to
you will go rushing out on Thanksgiving to see it.
And that's a good thing. And we will be right back. This is Movie Reviews and More. And happy Friday, everybody. Okay, here we are. Happy Friday, everybody. Chef Paul's in the house from Capitol Grille Restaurant in Beverly Hills, California. Debbie, Lynn, Elias from MovieSharkDeBlur.com. And you were just talking about, you were talking about Horrible Bosses. Did we finish? We finished Madagascar, didn't we?
We finished Penguins of Madagascar. We finished Mockingjay. Horrible Bosses 2. That also opens Wednesday. Picks up, we've got returning Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Spacey, Jamie Foxx. And then new to the Horrible Bosses sequel are Chris Pine and Christoph Waltz. Chris Pine has never been funnier. And in this role, he channels a lot of what we saw from Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards. The two of them playing a father and son, running a company, and this whole scheme that involves a kidnapping. And Chris really gets to be a psycho nut job. And he does it so well. It's directed by Sean Anders, written by Anders and John Morris. The key with this particular sequel with Horrible Bosses is first go round we learned about Horrible Bosses and our heroes Nick, Dale, and Kurt. They quit their jobs, and which is where Horrible Bosses 2 picks up. Kevin Spacey, who was the Horrible Boss, is sitting in jail. Our three boys they've designed their own product. They've become entrepreneurs. They have created the Shower Buddy. Yes. An attachment for your shower. Yes, don't even go there. An attachment for your shower that has shampoo, conditioner, soap, everything all at one time, so you don't have to reach for things. It just is pre-timed and automatically comes out. And they're looking for an investor. They find one first with Chris Pine, who then we quickly see is not allowed to speak on behalf of his father. When his father, Christoph Waltz, shows up, a deal gets struck. The three boys, they go and get bank loans, and they set up a factory, and they churn out all of these shower buddies, only to have plot twist turn, and then it's, okay, we're out a whole lot of money here. We just got screwed over. What do we do? And Chris Pine, then there's a whole lot of play going on with Pine coming in with them as they botch up their great ideas, because they never, let's face it, they never have great ideas. The key to this film is Eric Kissack's editing, which is rapid fire. It keeps it going. You've got equal screen time with everybody. Great pacing. But between the three primary leads of Bateman, Day, and Sudeikis, I gotta say, Charlie Day just really grates on you. So much of his persona is he overthinks and overtalks, and he keeps going and going and going. And throughout the film, you've got Bateman's character as Nick, and he's going, shh, 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 don't talk, stop, 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 stop. And you're sitting in the audience, and you have to wonder, was Bateman really acting because Charlie Day's character is so annoying as you're watching it? You want to sit there and say, stop, 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 stop.
You know, it's funny, Charlie, he's become a great actor. You know, I'm not sure if it's because he did all this stuff, whether it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or not, but this guy, no matter the few movies that he's done, he's been excellent in. Great supporting cast for him, too.
He truly is. I think that they just pushed the character too much with that personality trait. So, but you know, other than that, this is another, it's definitely for adults. Jennifer Aniston is back as the sex-addicted Dr. Julia Harris, and there is a lot of profanity, there is a lot of sexual innuendo, there is a lot of sex. This is not for the whole family, definitely for the more mature audiences.
See, Chef Paul, you can run out and see this one.
Yes. You can see this one.
With my wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Children cannot see this one. But, again, it opens on Wednesday, and I personally think it's better than the first one. And
it looks like it.
And Kevin Spacey is in it, and I'm not going to tell you how he's involved in this one, but needless to say, it is hilarious, and stay through the credits.
Which is important to say. It's just like a Marvel movie. You got to stay to the end.
Stay through the credits. Now, there's a little film that is out this week from the Vicious Brothers. It's in the horror genre, shall we say. It's called Extraterrestrials. And this is actually, we've seen all the typical alien trope films before, but this is like a cabin in the woods where everything that can go wrong does go wrong, but instead of keeping the aliens a secret, we really get to see them. And there's a lot of touchstones, things that harken to Independence Day, characters that harken to traits of those in Independence Day. It's a fun ride. It's not the greatest film in the world, but it's a fun film, it's a solid film, and it looks beautiful. We've got alien design that harkens back to M. Night Shyamalan's Signs, and it's just, the aliens look really cool. There's really nice story threads within the storyline. A lot of nice metaphor about humanity and humans. Veteran actor Michael Ironside is here. We've got relative newcomers Brittany Allen and Freddie Stroma, who are wonderful. We've got, alien craft crash landing in the woods. We've got reds. We've got fires. And here's where the visual really comes into play, creating texture and beauty. There are some beautiful scenes here using reds with the aliens, using lights. Definitely worth a look-see. Some really creative stuff going on. And it's a fun film that has the ending is a daring commentary on the military and the government. So, without divulging any more on that, see it. It's also on VOD.
What about Interstellar? Is that... I've heard it's supposed to be a good movie. I'm sure you guys have reviewed it.
I mentioned Interstellar the other week.
Well, here's the thing. Are you planning on going and see it with your wife?
That would be something I would. We do like, action, thrill, that type of stuff.
It's visually stunning. Chris Nolan is like Cecil B. DeMille with the visuals here and the grand scale of them. But where Interstellar fails, it doesn't have soul, it doesn't have heart and humanity, which is what it should have. I know, and a lot of people are looking for Matthew McConaughey to turn in another performance like he did as Ron Woodruff in Dallas Buyers Club. This is not an all right performance. This is it's more lackluster. And Anne Hathaway, she was miscast, or she just doesn't fit. But the film as a whole is visually stunning. It's got a lot of physics in it for the ending, which requires a lot of pay attention, which by that point, because it's a very long film, you really don't want to pay attention.
And I would say this, based on your schedule and where you live and the type of hours that you work, if you want to just go and get away, go and see it. You may be highly entertained.
Yeah, it is. It is visually, it is visually stunning. That without a doubt. And we've got one other little film that is out in theaters in limited release. I think it's going on to VOD as well. It's called Reach Me. Writer-director John Hirschfeld. This has been a passion project of his for a number of years. Sylvester Stallone got involved very long ago with it, and early on. There was a Kickstarter campaign with it. And it's basically got a premise similar to Crash, where you have all these individual little vignettes that all intersect at some point. And it's under the guise of this book that has come out that is taking the world by storm, a self-help book written by a guy named Teddy Raymond, but nobody's ever seen Teddy. Nobody knows what he looks like. And there are celebrities that are espouting the wonders of this book. Eruption turns in, Nelly turns in a really great performance as this rapper called Eruption, which was a real surprise. Kira Sedgwick is in it. Thomas Jane is perfection as an undercover bad boy cop with a conscience. Danny Aiello is in here as an alcoholic priest who is the confessor for Thomas Jane's character. Funny. And there's some very funny and sweet exchanges between the two of them. The entree into the story, the thread that ties it together, is a storyline involving Kevin Connolly, who plays this reporter who just wants to do hard-hitting news, and Sylvester Stallone is his publisher and editor. And it's an online newspaper magazine that based on sensationalism. And the character and Stallone's character of Gerald is he wants the get. There's no reason that you don't get the get. You've got to get the get. And he harps and he sends Kevin Connolly's character of Roger out in pursuit of this unknown, unseen author, Teddy, who is played beautifully by Tom Berenger with such sensitivity and such humility. Once you finally meet him, you can understand where the passion of this book that the world loves comes from. You've also got great performance. Kelsey Grammer pops up. Tom Sizemore pops up in what could be a little bit of typecasting based on of art imitating life. Terry Crews, who is everywhere, from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
And who deserves to be every place. I'm
telling you, Terry is in it. Carrie Elwes is in it with a very hysterical turn. Danny Trejo has a small little part. We got little cameos from Frank Stallone, Sally Kellerman, Darius McCurry, and even Scarlett Rose Stallone.
Interesting.
Is on camera. But there's a lot of really wonderful life lessons in here. There is some there's some disconnect between all of the vignettes connecting under the one premise when everybody shows up because Teddy is finally going to speak in person somewhere. But the way everything unfolds, it's a beautiful film, great messaging, a nice surprise twist at the end with Stallone, and two breakout guys that I just absolutely love, Amari Hardwick and David O'Hara, who play two thugs, shall we say, that support Tom Sizemore's character of Frank, who actually works for Kelsey Grammer's character, Angelo Aldo Brandini. So it's a fun film. It touches the heart and entertains you at the same time. And the cast, it's worth seeing just for the cast. It's truly spectacular.
Now, the other good thing about it is before you go see these movies, you have to go out and have a nice dinner. You have to.
Or or see the movies and then go have a nice dinner.
No, you might be disappointed in some of the movies, but the movies that you talked about, you're not going to be talking about them if they're really bad in the first place. That's just not you.
Well, no, actually I will, just not necessarily here because of time constraints. So,
Chef Paul, what's your schedule? You heard the rundown of what's coming out this week. You know your kids are going to go see the Hunger Games, obviously. Any concerns as a parent?
You know what? The way society is now, I mean, our children see a lot of things that we don't want them to see. I mean, the access to the internet. I mean, so I'm not going to like that. I mean, probably my youngest daughter will probably be turning away and covering her eyes. But I'm not going to stop them from seeing the movie because of that. But I mean, they're already set up. The funny thing is, like I said, through Girl Scouts of America, their troop is going to go see this. They did that with the second installment as well. So
and that's something that's happened since the Hunger Games debuted, because it is such a female empowering film. And while there are only moments in this one where Katniss is truly empowered to the Katniss that we know and love, stepping up to the plate, you've got Julianne Moore, who is sheer perfection, with this stoicism and this confidence and this intelligence and this decisiveness that is a wonderful role model for girls. So, you're going to follow through with that, which is why I'm sure the Girl Scouts want to continue on this journey.
Yeah, and once that, I can't stop smelling this. Let's talk about the Capitol Grill, first restaurant in Beverly Hills, California.
Okay, first I think for all the radio listeners who aren't seeing the video stream or who aren't who haven't,
I can't wait anymore.
Chef Paul has brought in some wonderful steaks, and Brian has been sitting here chomping at the bit, just waiting to shovel it into his mouth.
Oh, good.
Of course, he shovels it all in rather than savoring each individual taste.
I don't care.
He doesn't.
It's nice. This is pretty good. Well, first of all, we got to start. How did you get into becoming a chef, first of all?
Well, I mean, I've grown up in an Italian family, so there's always been a lot of focus around the dinner table. So that's always been really special and important to me. And it's tough. Sometimes I think about what was that one point when I decided to become a chef, and I don't really know if I have like a one particular moment. But one thing that is important to me is my grandmother, who's full Sicilian, always cooked for us all the time, and when I was coming out of college, I was like, I'm going to get really serious about this, and went to school for it, and started at the bottom, and worked my way up. So yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I've been in the hospitality industry pretty much my whole working life. So yeah.
And how many years has that been?
That's 16. 16
Long
years.
time, huh?
Yeah. So
what was it that the Capitol Grill found that they liked about you? Because obviously you can't be there if you're just so-so or even a bad chef.
Well, I mean, I don't want to sit here to toot my own horn. It's but
you're going to
go ahead, toot it. Go ahead.
I just have experience in some other restaurants running as executive chef. I worked for Maggiano's Little Italy. Where you're talking about big volume. I had one of the restaurants at the Grove was like $8 million annual sales, and I took over the one in South Coast Plaza, which is about $14 million. So I mean, there's a lot more to just chefing than whimsical. I'm going to throw a little dash of this or a little dash of that. I mean, you're managing people and leading them and motivating them and responsible for financial stuff like that. So there's a lot more to it. So I've had experience there at the Cellar in downtown Fullerton, which is a fine dining French restaurant.
That's a great place.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Now let me ask you, Chef Paul, when you are in charge of a kitchen such as at the Capitol Grill and you're creating the menu, how important is it when you have to stop and think about, there may be things that you want to put on the menu, but in terms of time and ingredients and expediency, and how much of that comes into play when you are creating these culinary delights?
Yeah, I mean, just what you're speaking to is exactly what goes through my mind, and most chefs when you are developing dishes. So if we are going into a really busy night, and we have daily features, depending on the season, depending on what type of local ingredients are available, there's some there's some of them that might have like a lot of intricate parts to the dish that I might hold off, instead of trying to execute that on the busiest night. So those are things that you consider, but the main thing that you look at is what's seasonal, what's the best product that you can bring in, and then my philosophy on that is just season it properly, cook it correctly, and then let that product speak for itself.
Well, what are some of your favorite seasonings to use? Most people I know, they reach for salt and pepper.
Right. Well, one big thing in cooking, just in general in cooking, is having the correct balance on salt. So even with pastries, sometimes you'll have something and you'll be like, I don't know, it's just missing something. Maybe it needs more sugar. Like, let's say you're cooking something at home, making a caramel sauce or whatever, and you just continue to pour in sugar there, and it's still not where you want it to be. And you throw a pinch of salt in that, and then, wow, that's the difference, So it has to do with, the way we taste as humans. We need a certain amount of salt in order to taste the nuances of, the cooked sugar, like for example, for that caramel. So
now, as you're reaching for that big, huge piece of meat over there, talk about that. It's aged. Talk about that.
Absolutely. So one thing that we specialize at the Capitol Grill is the dry aging of our steaks. So it's something that really adds a lot of flavor to beef. It adds like an umami flavor. It's something you can't really put your finger on as far as flavor-wise. And then the other big thing is it breaks down connective tissue, so it makes it a much more tender steak. So I brought in a sample here. So what we do is we bring in subprimal cuts. So we bring in a short loin, which is where you get your porterhouse steak off, and then you get your strip steak or New York or sirloin off. So we bring in that, and then we bring in the same type of cut without that fillet side, which is the difference between the short and the strip. And then we age them in a humidity-controlled environment. So we have refrigerators set up, and they go directly onto racks that we age for anywhere from 18 to close to 30 days on the aging. And what you're doing is you're just basically drying that piece of meat out. Where we weigh it, and we tag it with the date and weight, and we throw it up on the shelf, and we don't touch it for hopefully around 30 days. So
and you have your own butcher that comes in,
right? So we have an on-site butcher 6 days a week. He's there, and if he's not cutting meat, it's myself or my sous chef, and that we're able to sculpt and carve all of our steaks by hand. We also have a full-on bandsaw, because you have something like this strip, and you have a bone here. Same thing on the porterhouse. It's basically this cut here with the fillet side. But to get through that bone, we actually have like a full-blown bandsaw, like you would have, like a carpenter would have.
So in other words, Home Depot is not just for home improvement.
Yeah, that's true. So what I just brought this in as a sample, because when we're aging it from the outside of the steak, this is what it looks like. So what's happening during the dry aging process is it's tightening up, it's losing the moisture, and it's really condensing down the flavor, and then the enzymes naturally in that meat are breaking down the connective tissue. And then you have on the part that you're actually eating is bright red, just like a steak that's not aged. So what we do is anything that would be like this, that has like the age on the outside, that's all cut away. So the thing about dry aging is financially it's not lucrative, because you're actually bringing in product, and you're losing, anywhere from like 5% weight or 10% weight, on that product. It's actually closer to 10. So it costs more money to dry age, but the product is hands down the best way to prepare beef. So, that's something that's really important to us at the Capitol Grill, just having the most premium, highest quality, product available. So that's why we dry age, and that's why we cut our steaks in house.
And when it comes to that, also, you've got to have the right knives. Obviously, you brought a set of knives in here. Talk about those.
Sure. Well, what we're doing, starting this week, is we have a promotion going on for our guests that if they purchase $500 worth of gift cards, you're going to get a 10% bounce back, so 10% gift card back. So if it was $500, you get an additional $50 back. And then we also are offering a set of our personalized knife kits. So these are steak knives. They're heavy duty, and I mean we've all had those times where you're trying to cut something with like a flimsy knife and it's just all over the place. These are the ones we have in the restaurant. They're really high quality. They come in a nice wood case, and then whether you choose to keep that for yourself or you want to pass that along with any type of gift cards for the holidays, it's a great opportunity for our guests.
And you just had something that ends tomorrow. Obviously, talk about the burger and wine.
Sure. So we have Wagyu and wine. We do different things based upon the season. So we're just wrapping up this Wagyu and wine promotion where we bring in all of our Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, which is in Idaho, which is #1 purveyor for Wagyu beef, and then we pair it up with a nice glass of wine. So we're actually ending this Sunday. So if anybody's interested in this offering, you definitely have to come in this weekend. But what we have are some premium gourmet burgers. So we have 3 different options.
Delicious. Let me tell you, they're delicious and they're huge.
They are. They're great size. I mean, value on this is awesome. And then even the glasses of wine are expensive themselves, but because we're doing this package deal on it, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like for one of these glasses of wine, so we have a J Pinot Noir and a Jordan Cabernet Sauvignon. Both those glasses of wine, if you're going to go anywhere, are around $20 a piece. You go and buy a Wagyu gourmet burger anywhere, you're going to be around $20. This is $25 for the combination of the two.
Yep.
It's great value. Over the summer months, we do a promotion called Generous Pour, where for $25, our master sommelier, George Miliotis, pairs up 6 to 7 wines that are available. So again, $25, and then you can taste up to 6 to 7 wines as you're coursing through your meal.
And are you providing a designated driver with that?
Phone number for the taxi is what we provide. So.
And you have that taken care of too.
Yeah.
Including your parking. Talk about that.
Yeah.
Parking's
So
important.
one thing that's really difficult in LA, Beverly Hills, Hollywood area is parking. There's no question. So one thing that we have available to all of our guests, lunch and dinner, is complimentary valet. So we're right on the corner of San Vicente and Beverly Boulevard, connected to the Beverly Center. But you don't have to park in their structure where it costs money. We have complimentary valet right in front of a restaurant. You pull in, and that's something for our guests.
The thing that I like about the Capitol Grille is as soon as you walk in, it's stylish, it's very upper class, but you're not treated like that. It's not a stuffy feeling. They're welcomed once you come in, and I like that feeling. You just walk in wearing anything, and they're going to treat you like you're, a millionaire. I like that feeling, and that's what I really liked about that.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, we have very professional service. It's a fine dining restaurant, but the pretentious element of fine dining, we definitely stay away from that.
So what hours is Capitol Grille open?
So we're open for lunch and dinner. We're open lunch 6 days a week. We open 11:30, and dinner service, with standard would be like 4 o'clock through 10 o'clock during the week, and then 11 o'clock Friday and Saturday night.
Are you shut down any time in there for the changeover?
We do have a changeover, but people, you're talking about a half hour, and if anybody comes in during that time, we definitely wouldn't, we don't turn them away, and plus we have a beautiful lounge area as well, so, and that's where people tend to congregate during that time. It's just the slowest part of the day anyway, so.
You got a lot of women who just come in and hang out and play cards and everything like that, too.
We do.
Well, now, you've talked about beef, but what about for people that are not meat eaters? What about people that prefer poultry, that go with fish or seafood?
Awesome. Well, we have some really premium high-end seafood available as well. Our poultry is pretty minimal because we do specialize in steaks. So we have a whole roasted chicken, or basically it's a half roasted chicken that is really beautiful for those that would like to have poultry. But our seafood offering is wonderful. We have live Maine lobsters. We have sashimi grade ahi tuna. We have certified sustainable Chilean sea bass, fresh king salmon. We have Kushi oysters, which are like the best West Coast oyster.
I know them well.
Yeah, so I love having those in house, and so we're also, this next month coming up, we're going to be running some South African lobster tails, which they're just basically known for having like a high meat to shell ratio on the tails. So we're going to be running it as a surf and turf, as a twin tail option. So definitely a lot of seafood options.
So
real quickly, for those people who don't know what the website is called, www.thecapitalgrill.com.
Exactly.
And it's capital with an A, not an O. We are not in the capital in Panem. We are in the capital with an AL.
Absolutely.
You're going to talk about wines. You have wines coming up. And while you're pulling it up, we're going to talk about Thanksgiving. Last year, you guys had 700 people come. That's
correct.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. So we already have over 730 reservations for Thanksgiving. We basically do an a la carte menu, and then we have a Thanksgiving offering as well, where we're going to bring in 600 pounds of turkey that we're going to roast off on Thursday.
Wow.
With all the trimming, stuffing, green beans, mashed potatoes, cranberry. So it's going to be a busy day.
Well, with that many reservations already in play, can people still make Thanksgiving reservations?
I think we have maybe a couple slots open. And anybody's welcome definitely to give us a call. Our number is 310-358-0650.
I've got to ask, because Thanksgiving does officially kick off the holiday season. Obviously, the next holiday that pops up, Christmas, New Year's, does Capital Grill will you be doing anything special for Christmas and New Year's, especially New Year's Eve?
Right, yeah. So both those nights will be extremely, extremely busy for us, for no question.
In other words, make your reservation now.
Absolutely. We're going to do a la carte menu on those, and because we're already offering all premium items, there's no real need to try to run some different menu for that. I know sometimes restaurants, they will go down to a prefixed menu just for ease of execution, but our menu is open, from our prime grade Delmonico steak to our aged 26-ounce porterhouse to seafood. everything's going to be available.
I want to know about the ribeyes. Do you have ribeye?
Yes, we do. So we have a prime grade rib that we bring in. So it's 24 pounds with the bone on it. So our butcher takes that on that bandsaw and clips those off, sculpts that steak, and it's a beautiful steak. That is what people call the chef cut. Is a bone-in ribeye. So we have that available. One of our most popular preparations on it is our porcini rub. So we rub with a porcini powder and different seasoning, finish it off with some aged, 15-year aged balsamic and extra virgin olive oil.
And tomorrow night, Movie Reviews and More is having our get-together tonight. We actually have 100 people coming. What are you going to be making?
Well, we're going to have a bunch of different types of hors d'oeuvres for that evening. So we have some beautiful Australian lamb racks that we're going to be doing in the lollipop form. We have our sirloin. We're going to be doing some crostinis with that, some ahi tuna. We hand pull our mozzarella, our fresh mozzarella. So that's something really cool as well. Yeah, we're going to be doing a bunch of different hors d'oeuvres for you guys.
But now, when you've got hors d'oeuvres, you've got main courses, but what everybody really wants at the end of a night, especially after a dinner and a movie, dessert.
Yeah, so this is one of those areas as well, like the Capital Grill, we don't cut the corner on. We have a 5-day-a-week pastry lady that will come in, and she basically makes all of our pastries for the week. So and then on her days off, we have 1 or 2 people kind of fill in for her, but we just keep everything extremely fresh. We have a gluten-free espresso cake that is just what we do with that cake, we take it for the shift and we pull out a certain amount of pieces on the plate and let them just come up to room temperature, because something like that, it just becomes so palatable, creamy, velvety. When it comes up to room temperature, we serve a little bit of a raspberry glaze and fresh raspberries, so that's really cool. We have a coconut cream pie. It's one of my favorites. We make the crust, make the filling, whipped cream, toasted coconut, stuff like that.
See, I have to ask this. I'm always an apple person, and so when I order dessert, it's got to be apple. And if they don't have it, then I turn away. That's just me. What do you have for apple?
Well, what we do is, because we make our ice creams and we make our sorbets as well. So I'll make. I mean, last week I had a caramel apple ice cream, or we'll do a like green apple sorbet.
Okay.
Those are things that we do with apple. And then besides that, as far as on the menu, our core menu, like, we don't have anything with apples. But doing like a tarte tatin or crostata type option would be good with apples.
Now, mentioning that you make your own ice creams and sorbets, I'm finding that seems to be one of the biggest trends that's going on with the fine dining restaurants now, that they are starting to do their own custom ice creams and sorbets. Have you noticed that yourself out there in the industry?
Well, it's something that is time consuming, and it depends. There's a couple different ways to do ice cream. You can you have like actual ice cream machines that kind of look like a Slurpee machine, where it spins around like that, and then so that way when you're freezing, it doesn't freeze into a block; it freezes in little tiny, molecules. And then the other option, which we use, is called a Paco Jet. It's really interesting. It's basically a cylinder that has a blade that goes down into that cylinder, but it's spinning like this. So we make an ice cream base, we freeze it hard, then we pull it out. We put it up into this machine, and then this thing spins like this and just goes all the way down to the very bottom of that cylinder, then comes back up, and then you have like a super, super smooth, without punching a bunch of air in there. Because that's the one thing, like when you spin ice cream, like there's air that's going into it. So you get a higher volume on it, but when you go to taste it, it's not
flat.
Not as rich.
Yeah.
So just the way we prepare the ice cream and sorbet is pretty cool.
Talk about your executive chef partner, Paul.
Wait. Oh, my managing partner?
Yes.
Okay, Derek. So,
Derek.
Derek, he has been with Capital Grille for over 20 years. This guy has got so much experience. He started as a prep cook with Capital Grille and worked his way up. He was executive chef for Capital Grille. He's a sommelier, so he's gone through all the classes. I mean, this guy is one of those wine enthusiasts, and just a great leader for our restaurant, and it's a pleasure to work for him, so it's cool.
So now, mentioning wine enthusiast and sommelier, you were going to bring up on your tablet there.
Yeah.
What is the wine?
Sure.
Wine
So one thing that we have that's really, really cool is that we have an iPad wine list that we just recently started, and we've been having some great feedback from our guests. So it's the app is available to anybody, so you can it's free. You can get it through the App Store.
Now, is it only for iPhone products?
That's the thing. It is.
So it's not on
right
Android.
Now, correct. So right now it is only for Apple. Unfortunately for myself, because I run Android, but
Me too.
so many people do Apple. So
Sure.
I mean, it's Uptown Network is the people that designed it. And basically you can download it for free. You can when you pull it up, you have so many different ways to look through wines. There's also available to look at our signature cocktails, after dinner drinks, desserts. So one thing that's cool when you're searching through with the iPad is you're not just going off what a server is suggesting, or you're not looking at this big gigantic wine list going, oh, where am I supposed to go with this? I know that's the way it is for me. I mean, it can be overwhelming at times. So what you do is you can go in there and you have like 6 different ways to, as a general sense, to search. Flavor, varietal, vintage, by the glass. You also have a 90-point club, which are all like the top people that grade wine, like rank wine. And then you can search through there, and then you continue to sort that. So like, let's say you pulled up your I like Pinot Noirs. Okay, boom, I select that. And then it's going to pop up all the Pinot Noirs that we have in the restaurant. And then you can continue to search from there and say, oh, I want Pinot Noirs only from California. That's what I'd like to look at. Or I want to look at it by, which ones can you sell by the glass? Or which ones, or I want to look at it price-wise. I mean, you can look at it any which way. You select the item. You can bring up a picture of the wine. You have the tasting notes right there. You can email through the iPads that we have at our restaurant. I mean, you can say, oh, email tasting notes to myself. Boom, click it, type in your email, and it'll automatically send the tasting notes to you. So it's pretty cool.
And if you're interested in bookings, you have to talk to Stacy Urban, the sales manager there, which is really good. She's really good. She does a really good job.
Yeah, she does. And what we have is we have private dining room. So that's something that is available. So we have, for guests that are, large or small, we have some smaller dining rooms for like business professionals, business meetings, smaller celebrations, and we also have this beautiful terrace on our second floor, which is, I'm sure, where you guys are going to be at.
Yep.
And it overlooks the Hollywood Hills, and it seats over 100 guests. It's got a big open bar that's right there, and is my favorite, place in the restaurant.
That's my favorite too.
Cool.
My
Super
favorite
cool.
too.
So give everybody the address and phone number again.
Sure, it's 8614 Beverly Boulevard in Los Angeles, California, 90048.
At the corner of San Vicente and Beverly at the Beverly Center.
Yes, ma'am. And then our phone number is 310-358-0650.
And I got to thank Dunkin' Donuts for finally sending coffee over and everything like that. Thank you, Stephen Rafferty. That was really, really nice of them. And we look forward to having more things to do at Dunkin' Donuts in January. Favorite films before you get out of here? What are some of your favorite films that you like to watch?
You know what? I think I love the Bourne series. I love Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. That was probably one of my all-time favorites for sure.
Good.
Oh my!
You're gonna be happy with Matt Damon coming back in.
Very cool.
Yeah. Debbie, what are you gonna do for Thanksgiving?
I'm going to be working. I've got interviews to transcribe, reviews to write. I've got outlets that need content.
You might have to send her some food over.
Yeah.
That's no. I have to feed 5 cats, so that in and of itself is a challenge.
Well, there's Dumb and Dumber out there. There's a bunch of movies that are out there, matter of fact.
Well, another one that we haven't talked about the past couple weeks is Foxcatcher.
That's right. Go ahead.
And Foxcatcher, the performances are amazing. The story is amazing. I have a problem with the film coming from Philadelphia, having met John DuPont on numerous occasions, and also having met the Schultz brothers back in 1984 when they won their gold medals in the Olympics here in LA, because I was doing a series of PSAs at the time and got to interact with them and actually see them compete. There's a lot of discrepancies with the truth of the situations, and I think we've got over-exaggerated performances, although good, out of both Tatum and Carell.
Well, that's it for this week for Movie Reviews and More.
And we won't be here next week.
No, we're going to rerun one of our shows. I'll have Debbie pick one.
Oh, God.
Chef Paul from the Capitol Grill in Beverly Hills, California, thank you so much for coming in.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Debbie, giving me a site and your Twitter.
MovieSharkDeblore.com. On Twitter, it's MovieSharkD, and then Elias Entertainment. And I'll be moderating a bunch of Q&As this weekend.
That's right. Very, very important. And I'm Brian Sebastian, moviereviewsnmore.com. We will see you in a couple weeks.
We'll see you in December.
Yeah.